Hey, welcome World Entertainment, and of course, as we all know, The Marvels, yeah, you all remember that disaster, came out and ended up being the lowest earning Marvel movie to date, even though it's got competition now with Captain America Brave New World and stuff. However, one of the things that came up near the end, or I should say the beginning of the movie actually coming out, was the fact that the director of this thing, Nia DaCosta, apparently left. That she was like, I'm done, I'm not doing more reshoots, and buggered off to start her next project, and basically they had to bring in other people to oversee the final reshoots of this thing. Well, she's now calling out Disney, Marvel, and of course Kevin Feige, and basically saying she didn't direct this movie, essentially. But she also gives away a massive thing to note, which goes to show you just how badly they are screwing up making Marvel movies, and just how much they're lying about the actual budgets to these things. So let's have a look at this article, because this is interesting and it's funny to see her now trending around the corner. Don't forget as well, this is the woman who not just apparently left, but then Bob Iger went out onto that stage for that meeting thing and ripped into the Marvels by saying, oh yeah, you know, the problems we had was there wasn't enough executives on there to oversee what was happening. If you remember that, they were basically saying, oh, she needs to be babysat. Which also shows us that they really do not hire directors, they cast directors. So let's look at this. So The Marvels was released at the tail end of 2023's Hollywood strikes, and despite scoring mostly positive reviews, it sits at a 62% on Rotten Tomatoes. That means nothing. The Captain Marvel sequel only grossed $206.1 million worldwide. That makes it one of Marvel Studios' biggest box office flops, and fans continue to debate what went wrong. Well, we know what went wrong. After all, how could a follow-up to a $1 billion blockbuster and critically acclaimed shows like WandaVision and Ms. Marvel fall so short of expectations? Again, there's massive reasons. Number one, they were characters that nobody liked. Number two, Captain Marvel only made $1 billion because they told you it was the most important movie to see, while they smashed it in between Infinity War and Endgame, and that didn't turn out to be the case. Not just that, but we know for a fact that they were actually buying seats. There's multiple Tudor reasons. But this continues saying, the fact is, it happened, and filmmaker Nia DaCosta has finally reflected on her MCU experience. Talking at Dublin's second annual Screenwriter Festival, she started by saying a Marvel movie was her dream project because she was a big comic book nerd growing up. Well, probably not of Marvel comic books, because she clearly didn't know what she was doing with Marvel. So it's saying, however, it didn't take long for the reality of working with the MCU to set in for the Candyman director, explaining that she stepped into a system and had to lean into the process. DaCosta added, they had a date and they were prepping certain things, and you just have to lean into the process hardcore. The way they make those films is very different to the way, ideally, I would make a film. So you just have to lean into the process and hope for the best. The best didn't happen this time, but you kind of have to trust in the machine. It was interesting because there was a certain point where I was like, okay, this isn't going to be the movie that I pitched, or even the first version of the movie that I shot. So I realized that this is now an experience, and it's a learning curve, and it really makes you stronger as a filmmaker in terms of your ability to navigate, DaCosta concluded. Marvel Studios is renowned for using reshoots to tinker with and improve its movies. However, in recent years, those appear to have largely done the opposite, with Captain America Brave New World the most recent example. The Marvels ultimately lost the studio around $237 million. That's completely wrong. That number is higher than that. Especially, and this is the thing you have to keep in mind, especially with what Nia DaCosta just let out of the bag which is, oh, by the way, we didn't film this movie once, we shot it basically twice. So she is confirming there are 2 versions fit to this movie. Like, listen to what she says again. She got to the point where she said, okay, this isn't going to be the movie that I pitched, or even the first version of the movie that I shot. That is confirming that they changed this thing drastically. Now, I find it interesting that they're saying, or I should say that she's saying, she pitched this movie. I don't think that's accurate. I think she was hired to do a movie that was already scheduled to happen. She obviously came in with ideas, and they probably went, yeah, sure. And then once she got in there, it's like, yeah, we're not doing that. Because we also know, and it's one of the reasons the special effects are always bad now in Marvel movies, is because they start doing the special effects before they even have a script. Which means in the last minute, they end up having to go back to the special effects and go, we have to change all of this. It's a mind-blowing thing to do. The fact as well that they're trying to say the movie only cost in and around 200 and something million. It didn't. The thing cost well over 300, which is now basically the norm for this. And it really is interesting that, like, she's not outright saying, well, it was a horrible experience, but you have to just read between the lines where they're saying, yeah, I got to a point where I realized this isn't the movie I'm here to make. They're doing their own thing. I'm literally here to take the fall. Because that's exactly what they did. They tried to blame her. Again, you have Bob Iger on that stage flat out saying, oh yeah, one of the issues we had wasn't just COVID, it was the fact that we didn't have people watching over what she was doing. And it's interesting that it leaves this out in this whole article, is the fact that she did walk away in the end. She didn't even finish the film. It was basically, and that must be from the fact that, oh, they're even changing what we've already been shooting. We're reshooting now. We're doing other crap. It's a completely different movie. Oh, look, I'm going to go and start my other movie. Bye. And off she toddled. And of course, we also know they didn't invite her to the premieres and all that stuff. So I'm surprised she's not going a bit harder at them. It's interesting that she's going for them, but it's interesting that she's not going as hard as she probably could. But there you go. The director of one of Marvel's biggest failures in the Marvels has come out and basically told the world, yeah, they basically cast me, they didn't hire me because the movie that came out was not the movie I made. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.